just waiting for my grill knife to come, and then I'll go with you. Yes, it will arrive in 72 months, if there won't be problems with the shipment.
Getting into bushcraft is so expensive. I just don't have the money for it.
No, man. I think I'm going to go ultralight and connect to my family inside. Those are only some of the excuses I hear from people when they try to tell me that they do not know how to start with bushcrafting. All of them are wrong, especially ultralight. That is extremely wrong. In this video, I will tell you what you need to start doing some proper bushcraft. And by bushcraft, I mean the way to go outdoors without embarrassing your ancestors. That's right. You know what we used to call ultralight hikers when I was younger? Girls, that's what. So strap in and watch my gear. Holy cow, that sounded wrong. But still, watch it good. Watch it tight. Now, as a beginner bushcrafter, your first job is to do an overnight. An overnight means that you go to the forest one day and you come back home the following day. It's not really that difficult. Some people find it scary, some people find it difficult, some people don't know where to go, but I don't care about all that. That's what you need to do to officially, enter the business, so to speak. Now, while you're doing your overnight, your job is to construct a shelter, to start a fire, to cook yourself a meal or two, and to get drunk and throw axes at trees or something. I don't know, that's what I usually do, but... Well, okay, I do not recommend the last part, okay? In fact, don't even bring an axe. Or alcohol. Yes. Very important. Your first piece of gear is your backpack. This is my backpack with, all the gear that I'm going to recommend you to bring with yourself. This is a Gregory 55-liter hiking pack, and this is awesome, but it is also expensive. So, look, for your first outing, bring an IKEA bag for all I care. All you want is for your stuff to be in one container for organizational purposes and to keep them off the ground, but that's for later. Because your first outing is not going to be very far away from your car, I promise you that. Now, if you don't have the money or an IKEA nearby, bring any backpack. It can be some old raggedy, tactical backpack you have back from your military days, or something you got from school. As long as your gear gets inside or is tied up to the outside of the bag, you're good, okay? Obviously later, backpack is one of the only two things that I do recommend to invest some proper money in. That's backpack and your shoes. Because if you will be doing proper trips, trust me, those things, your back and your feet, will be killing you. So invest in protecting them. So this is mine. Get yourself yours. I'll be putting some recommendations down below. But let's see what we have inside. The first part of our system is shelter. For shelter, we'll be using a tarp. Now, pick a tarp that is at least 3 meters by 3 meters, or 10 feet by 10 feet for all those people who use that weird measurement system. I mean, who measures in feet, for crying out loud? Make sure you have a sleeping bag that is warm enough for the temperatures you're expecting to camp in, and get yourself a simple, as you can see a bit dirty, foam mat. Don't get yourself those inflatable thingies that will get a splinter inside and then will deflate all over. You will wake up on the floor with no air in your mattress and you will be cold and miserable. Now, for tent stakes, I actually use some wooden ones. Why? Because I'm too cheap to buy new ones. Yep, that's the reason. Also, those large stakes, they will withstand any storm you throw them in. Now, if you will notice, I am using 3 stakes. That is not a mistake. We set up a tarp with 3 stakes. I will show this to you. I will show you how to do this when I'll actually do an overall night with all this gear I'm showing you. But this is your shelter. This shouldn't be too expensive. I mean, the foam mat costs pretty much nothing. The stakes you can make yourself, and usually they come with the tarp. And the tarp, well, I mean, $50 more or less, I guess. A sleeping bag is also something worth investing in, but again, you don't have to invest in the biggest, baddest, warmest something. Just get one that is warm enough and not too heavy, and you're good to go. Now for those extra cold nights, I have here 2 heating blocks, military heating blocks. You just open the cases, the nylon cases, shake them up a bit, throw them inside your shirt, and you go to sleep. Nothing fancy, cheap as hell. I think they cost $1 each, plus, or well, more or less, you know. And I mean, they don't weigh much, they don't take much space in your backpack. Get them. Next is cordage. For my ropes kit, I use a very simple pouch to put everything in. Some junk rope. Junk rope is a simple nylon rope that I can use, cut, abuse, and do whatever I want to it without actually feeling bad about it. It's great when you need to, you know, connect it to a tarp, or I don't know, just connect your backpack to something. It's good enough to do most of the job you'll need. I use some carabiners. Now, carabiners are not a must. You can disregard them completely, but they make connecting stuff easier. I use 2 Prusik knots. I use them in my tarp setup, and then I just use a bunch of ropes. Now look, some of you are going to tell me,
But this is not paracord. How can you trust it?
well, look, you're not going to be rappelling with those out of a chopper onto a tank and fighting terrorists. Sure, to do that you would need a proper cord, but you're not. You're hanging up a tarp and maybe a cook pot or something. That's all. For that, even the simplest of ropes will do. So just gather a bunch of ropes, learn how to connect them if you need longer ropes, and how to properly tie knots, and well, that's part of being a bushcrafter. Rope work. This is my tool setup. As you can see, there are no super duper expensive tools here, but this will do the job you need. Now look, starting with the Mora Niv Companion, stainless. I love this knife. Some people here will say,
Oh, but it's stainless. It won't hold an edge.
yes it will, okay? And it had. And in case I need to, I can sharpen it. So that's not a big problem. On the plus side, you can take it to rainstorms, snowstorms, zombie storms. It will not rust. I guarantee that. Also, it costs like $15 or something, I don't know. The next is my sog saw. I got it as a present from a friend, so I do not know how much it cost. I'll check it out later. But it had seen plenty of use, as you can see, and well, it withstood it. So, great. The next great big thing I have is a folding shovel with a pike, or whatever you call it, spade. Now, a shovel is not a must-have, but it brings so much comfort to your campsite that you can't even imagine. From transferring coals, digging the latrine, clearing your sleeping space from brushes or weeds. It is extremely helpful. Now this one cost me like $15, I think. It is simple, it is Chinese, and quite frankly, I don't need any more than that. I have larger and bigger, but I find myself using this. Some gloves to protect my hands. look, your hands will be hurting if you won't be putting on gloves. Trust me on that one. Some stick lights for emergencies. Well, it's mostly for when my batteries run out from my headlamp and I need some source of light to find my spare batteries. So that's why I have the stick lights. And of course a headlamp. I'm using a simple Energizer headlamp and I have it for 15 years by now. Never had any problems with it, except for the fact that it's falling apart and I don't have a button on it anymore. But it still works. Now, if I may suggest, get yourself a headlamp with several modes and a red light. A red light will help you if you're doing actual hikes and treks at night, which you shouldn't, but you might. And it keeps your visibility signature to a minimum. It makes you far less visible to others than white light. So if like me you're like hiding from your wife or something, red light is the way to go. For fire starting, I use two methods of ignition, which is the lighter and the firesteel. One method of tinder, which is fatwood, but if you do not know how to get fatwood, you don't need to buy it. You can just use cotton and Vaseline mixed together, put it in a Ziploc bag, and that will make great tinder. It will start fires in every condition in any place on earth. And of course, my little fire blower. This will help me light up my fire, maintain my fire, and reignite my fire. This thing outdoors is worth its weight in gold, comfort-wise. This is my entire fire kit. I don't need any more than that, and neither do you. You'll make do with this, trust me. Of course, you will need to practice your firesteel techniques, but you know that's part of the game, so get used to it. Alrighty then, boys and girls. You've built your shelter, started your fire, time for some cooking, right? Right. Now, to do this, I use what you see here in front of you. The main part, of course, is the mess kit. I use this 3 items kit. It is a World War I reproduction kit, I believe. I'm not really sure. And it is comprised of the pot, the pan, and the plate. Inside of it, I usually keep, well, this is a pot handle. I can use it to grab my stuff and pick them up even when they are on open flame, hot or whatever. In addition to it, I have a cleaning rag, some soap, as you can see, a hell of a lot of sugar, because sugar is calories, my brew kit, which is basically tea and, well, more sugar, some teas, because they weigh nothing and they, well, at least for me, it's a huge morale boost while I'm out there. My super awesome multi-tool for eating. This has a spoon, a fork, a knife, a bottle opener, and a can opener. But to be honest, you can bring a spork, you can bring some kitchen utensils. You don't have to have anything fancy, not to eat at least. And the two other things is hand wipes before you eat and after you eat, and some tin foil, because with this, man, you can cook some, well, you can cook a lot with tin foil out in the wild. Using this and this alone, you can make yourself a proper meal, as long as you have coals, open flame, a wood stove, a gas stove, anything. For starters, but you'll be cooking on open flame or on your coals. You don't need to buy anything to improve that. And these are the final items that I suggest that you bring with you whenever you go out into the wood or anywhere actually. So first thing, and this is extremely important, is your first aid kit. Now I won't go over what this has because that's a video all on its own, but it is so easy to get injured out there. It's just, you need to have a way to treat yourself. You can get cut, you can get burned, you can get sprained, or you can break a bone, you can fall, you can get into a hypothermia situation. I mean, have a way to treat yourself. The other one is a whistle. Now, it is extremely easy to get lost while you're in the woods and it's dark. You can go for a 5-minute walk to gather some firewood, and next thing you know, you have no idea how to get back to camp. Why the whistle then? Well, because it is much easier and much more effective way of screaming to get attention. You don't want to be screaming in the middle of the forest for help, help, help. It wastes a lot of energy and you look ridiculous. I mean, seriously. After enough screaming, you don't even want to be found because you're kind of embarrassed. Last, okay, not last, almost last, is my fix kit. This has anything for just in case. It has a sewing kit, it has needles, it has duct tape, it has small zip ties, it has these tiny fishing stick lights, it has a small sharpener. I usually use a better one, but this one is just small and handy. And of course, last but not least, the toilet paper, wrapped in a plastic bag. Now, look, when nature calls, you'd better answer. And this is for those times. Also, if you served in the IDF, you should know toilet paper is for cooking as well. That's right. So, dudes and dudettes, you're still here? Wow, that's great. Man, I'm kind of proud of you. You stuck it with me so far, so look, seriously, this is the gear that I suggest, that I recommend, that I think that would be best for you to have before you begin practicing your bushcraft skills. Before you go out there responsibly with someone else, not alone, and you spend the night in the wilderness. Now, obviously, when I will be able to leave my house and the whole situation will blow over, I will show you how to actually spend an overnight with this gear. And we'll do it together, but meanwhile, get this gear, or at least something similar to it. I will put down links below to anything and everything that I have. And you know, like, start hoarding it now, because the next pandemic is going to be a zombie one. Trust me. I hope. That's it. Now, tell me what you think. I know I need to wash my gear. That's probably my next course of action. I'm just too lazy to do it right now. And this sleeping bag is so comfortable as a pillow. So there you go. This is Sergey signing out. Duck face! Bye bye.